Here.
Bob.
Here.
Mike.
Here.
Di.
Here.
Alex.
Here.
Renee. Yes.
There is a copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act on the wall. Feel free to review at your leisure. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Moving on to section 3, approval of the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second. Discussion. Alyssa.
Di.
Yes.
Alex.
Yes.
Renee.
Yes.
Brett.
Yes.
Bob.
Yes.
Mike.
Yes. Moving on to 3.1 board minutes. There is one set of minutes from the March 26th board meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
I should have asked for changes or amendments. Are there any, if we can go back if we need to? I apologize. Hearing none. Alyssa.
Mike.
Yes.
Di.
Yes.
Alex.
Yes.
Renee.
Yes.
Brett.
Yes.
Bob.
Yes.
Moving on to 3.2 claims. There was one for Carmen, correct?
Yes.
And they were reviewed, I believe, correct?
Did the receipts for the credit card statement get attached?
She's in the process of collecting anything she doesn't have, she's getting.
So that's not something we get in advance?
Not usually. Those are always under POs. So if you, like, we went away from paper copies just because of the significant amount of paper. So you can review the POs. We've never.
She's talking off credit card, which I talked to Terry about.
Okay.
Those are still on POs.
Most of the time.
So, yeah, it was fine, it was just,
Yeah.
it would be nice to have those attached before the board review, not after.
Is there a motion to approve all the claims with the exception of the Carmen Sullivan claim? So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Alyssa.
Alex.
Yes.
Renee. Yes. Brett.
Yes.
Bob.
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Di.
Yes.
Is there a motion to approve the Carmen Sullivan claim?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. Discussion. Alyssa.
Di.
Yes.
Alex.
Yes.
Renee.
Yes.
Brett.
Yes.
Bob.
Abstain.
Mike.
Yes. Moving on to informational items, you have the treasurer's report. Those funds are readily available to review at your leisure. 4.2 Brandon.
Okay, under policy review, we've got a glut of policies that I attached. I've got a few that I'm going to highlight. Several of them are single sentences or small paragraphs. They're pretty quick read. What I wanted to highlight first, 3029, which is distribution of flyers. We do follow that policy. I've had contact with one or two groups and they readily and willing to comply with that policy. It's not been an issue in the past. 3030 AEDs, part of that requires documentation from a medical professional. Our nurse has been really good up to this point as far as getting that yearly sign-off that we need. We will work with the nurse that we hire for next year to have a contact out at Saunders Medical to make sure that we are in compliance with the policy. 3039 through 3041, these are school safety policies that I grouped together. They're three different things, but they all run through our operations and safety team. They've been meeting regularly. We're making sure that we are meeting those policy guidelines as well. 3056, guest speakers. If the teacher wants to bring a guest speaker in, they communicate with their principal, they fill out the paperwork in enough time that they meet the minimum timeline for review, and then those speakers come in. It doesn't appear that we've had any issues with that here recently. 3059, audio video. This is only allowed with permission. It has to do with safety of students and staff. So if you're in the building, unless you've received permission, this would be instructional settings, this would be meetings, this would be anything where we're conducting school business. 4015, board members as employees. Simply, board members can't be teachers, they can be non-teaching, either employees or contracted employees. That's laid out in policy. Last one I put on there, 4018 corporal punishment, we don't do that. So it has to be in policy. It's pretty short and we don't spend any time on it. Questions on policy that I didn't cover?
Do you foresee a lot of policy adaptation this summer with the?
There's always some. I don't anticipate a huge amount of new policies or revised policies based on what happened in Lincoln. There'll be some.
Other questions for Brandon? Moving on to 4.3, administrative reports. There were reports attached. Questions about those reports? Fast forward down to 4.3.7, super, oh, do we need to go back to Josh, or we gonna cover that later?
We'll cover that later.
4.3.7, Brandon.
Okay, so you have my report attached. As part of this time, what I asked was those individuals that received the Innovative Educator Grant through the foundation, asked that they come in and just real briefly give you guys an overview of what their application was, what their project consisted of, and how they're utilizing that in their spaces. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them here tonight. Anybody that wasn't able to be here, I'm going to email you a short video that they've put together, just so you get updated from them as well. If you are a recipient, whoever wants to pop up first, come on up. Thanks, Mr. Herrera.
John Herrera, woodshop teacher. My grant I applied for was a document camera, basically a camera that you can point at your desk and it projects your desk onto the TV or the projector. And so when I'm doing things like measurement or drafting or anything like that where I want to demonstrate something to the whole room without everybody huddling around me, or I can just put it up on the TV or the projector or whatever, and whatever I do at my desk is transmitted up on the screen. It can also be used as a webcam or something if we have a webinar or something that I need for the classroom. But it was fairly inexpensive, but it will be something that helps out a lot, especially in like the drafting class or anywhere where I'm doing a lot of measurement stuff, or or maybe like blueprint reading where I'm looking at a certain thing on a piece of paper, and instead of me taking a picture of it and putting it on a canvas and trying to have kids watch it on a laptop, they can just look up and look down at their paperwork or whatever. Just kind of streamline that process pretty good. So
you haven't got it yet?
I do have it. Yeah, I have it in my room right now, and I played around with it a little bit. For a inexpensive $200 piece of technology, it was pretty, it works really well. So I've talked, like Peyton has expressed interest in maybe getting one too, because with art it's a pretty good thing. So I told him he could always borrow it if he wanted to or use it, whatever. But it's yeah, pretty inexpensive piece of technology, but it did help a lot in the classroom. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Josh.
Yep.
I wrote some things down so I didn't forget. I'm Mr. Carpenter. I'm a SPED teacher. I want to start by thanking you all for accepting my grant application. Thanks to the money, I was able to get the equipment I needed to start a unified PE class. We're starting that next year. I've been advocating for this class, and before I list exactly what I did with the grant, I want to kind of give a rundown of what unified PE is and why it's important. Unified PE is a class that models its structure after unified sports. So for each student with a disability, there is a student without a disability partnered with them. These students are partnered together for the class. The class is going to be a whole semester. An example of how the athlete and partner dynamic works could be seen in a sport like baseball. Say an athlete can only swing the bat, they can't run the bases, then the athlete would swing the bat and the partner would run the bases for him, and then vice versa. If that flipped, like the athlete can only walk the bases, then the partner would swing the bat and the athlete would walk the bases. When an athlete is having a hard time understanding a skill, a partner could also jump in and demonstrate that skill for them. That is my quick rundown of what unified PE PE is and why it's important, I'll cover. It creates an inclusive environment for all students. The athletes in unified PE class usually do not get to interact with the general education class. So like these are your high needs students. Yeah.
Will you clarify the difference between athlete and partner?
Yeah, athlete, sorry. Athlete is a person with a disability, a student with a disability, and then the partner does not have a disability. So these are your general education students. Doesn't have an IEP. But yeah, usually unified PE students are like high needs, level 2 classrooms, Mrs. Kurth class, if you guys are familiar with that. This class has the ability to create meaningful friendships between students with disabilities and without disabilities. Unified PE helps fight stigma of a special education classroom. It also allows for students with disabilities to partake in physical activity. So like I've been teaching adaptive PE for 2 years now at Wahoo, and adaptive PE kind of works exactly how unified PE does, just without the partners. And in my time, these students have become more mobile, they've lost weight, and they're starting to enjoy physical activity more. I have a student who can like walk around the building and isn't like fussy about it, and that used to be an issue, like walk like 30 steps and they'd be out of breath. But yeah, we're doing a weightlifting unit now, thanks to the equipment, and I'll cover all the equipment that you guys gave us, but we're doing a weightlifting unit now, and last year I would not have thought that's a possibility. And so like it just snowballs, like these kids start moving and they get good at moving and they love doing it. The equipment you guys gave me, or I used for the money, with the money, was 20 sand dumbbells, 1 to 3 pounds. They have handles. This is also the weight that these athletes can perform the lifts in. 20 flexible frisbees, so like foam frisbees. These allow for easy catching, and also hopefully I could take these for a frisbee golf field trip next year, hopefully, fingers crossed. 5 attachable hand grips, so these can be attached on a bat for a student who can't grab a bat, so they can swing or any handled object. 10 sensory balls. These are texture balls that allow students to catch a ball and also decompress when they catch it. So 20 Velcro paddles and tennis ball catching set. So those are the ones where you slide on your hand, you catch a tennis ball, it sticks. Those are for the students that can't catch. Skills chart with keywords. So these are charts with visuals of the skills we'll be doing, like underhand tossing, jumping, running. There's actually a lot of technique in running, and we teach that skill. An MVP trophy, so this will be for the athlete MVP of the week, and the students are going to vote on the athlete MVP each week. Oh, and then unified PE curriculum. That's probably the most important thing I bought. That'll help me shape and mold my class. So yeah, that was it. So thank you guys. Oh, and wait, I did want to say numbers. 33 students signed up for unified PE already, so it's a big deal. Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Joel.
Thank you.
I'm just passing around a collage of what my foundation grant money was used for. So those of you that don't know me, I'm Crystal Dwalcotty, and I'm a second grade teacher. I work with students who are still developing important skills such as emotional regulation, focus, self-management. And one way I wanted to support these needs in my classroom is through creating a calming corner. And a calming corner is a small designated space in a classroom where students can go when they're feeling overwhelmed, frustrated, or they just need to reset. They just need a moment to reset. It's not a punishment area, but a supportive environment that helps students recognize and manage their emotions in a healthy way. So in my classroom, the calming corner includes simple tools such as visual, emotional charts, breathing guides, and quiet activities that help the students calm their bodies and minds. I teach the students how and when to use space appropriately so they can take a short break and then they can return to learning when they're ready. We usually set a timer for about 5 minutes and then they quietly come back to the class. Using the calming corner, I've noticed, has helped reduce disruptions. It's improved our classroom focus, and it supports a positive classroom environment. So most importantly, it teaches those students lifelong skills and self-regulation and emotional awareness. So I just want to say thank you to the foundation, school board, and administrators for your support in helping meet the needs of all our learners. Any questions? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Crystal.
Hi there, my name is Andrea Parson. I'm middle school art. This is the second year we've had this program, so a lot of my money kind of went towards those art supplies. And with this, I wanted to get some liquid watercolors that were a little bit more professional grade that I could use with my advanced art kits. I also got some charcoal, pencils, and some paint palettes to go along with that. So thank you for letting me grow my program, and I appreciate the funds for this. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Amy Pleskotch, and I teach first grade. I am part of the Playground Improvement Committee with Ben, and our PTO president is also on it. So my grant isn't necessarily for my classroom, it's for a new playground bench on the pre-K through 1 playground. I have not purchased anything yet because we're resurfacing that blacktop. I don't really know if you'd call it that. So we're looking forward to that resurfacing. And then when that happens, we'll purchase the bench because the benches that are out there are in rough shape. But yeah, so thank you.
Thank
And
you.
as soon as that gets resurfaced, we'll move forward with purchasing a bench.
Questions, Brandon? Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Is that it?
Yep.
Thank you very much, guys. Moving on, 4.4 communications. I did not see any attached.
Can I back up for just a minute?
Backing up.
Brandon, on your,
Yep.
like your goal update,
You bet.
I think the first of the 3 goals, you generally don't update those. Can we get some updates month to month or even every couple months? Like the first one still has that work has begun on the formal budget for 2025, 2026.
Yeah, that should say
Sure.
26, 27.
Right, but I'm just saying, instead of just leaving the same, give
Yeah,
us some
I do
context
change,
here.
I do change some of the verbiage, a lot of it does stay the same month to month, but if there's more you guys want, I can absolutely do that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Moving on to 4.5, audience comments. I'm not reading this spiel then. 4.6, board committee reports. Any committees meet? Foundation? Curriculum met last month, not this month?
Just
Anyone?
Yeah, we're gonna have a meeting coming up.
yeah, I mean, we've just been working through the RFP
Yep.
design, the design process.
Okay.
But I don't think much to report here specifically.
Okay. And we're meeting next Monday, correct?
Yep.
With so on? Perfect. With Tony from MCL. Anything else to add? 4.7, discussion of the board's self-assessment. Keep this brief. Here's your executive summary of the board assessment. What I am going to propose is, it shows you the way to go team and the area that we need a little more improvement. So our highest board scoring standard was policy governance. We do a pretty good job of that, reviewing them monthly, making sure we're up to date, in line with the legislative changes.
the lowest board scoring standard was the advocacy. What I would like to see is how do we better build a relationship with a local senator, or how do we stay a little more in tune with legislative changes? So I would like to add one goal to our strategies on the strategic plan. Not one each, but one that we would come together next meeting and kind of adapt one person's, maybe somebody who writes a perfect one to begin with, just some way to maybe be, I don't know, a little more open-ended with potentially a local legislator, senator, something major. Thoughts?
Brady, just kind of go a little bit there. You think we have one of us or somebody on a committee that would be
Yeah,
more?
it could be a lot of things. I'd like to set a goal. Maybe it's a committee. Maybe it's a quarterly update. Somebody reaches out, emails, sees what's maybe on, I don't know. We don't have
So
one, so I'm trying to formulate
Do we
one.
still pay to that organization?
Stance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we get, is there things we can get from them?
So those are, like, I go to meetings during session every other week, and those are all those updates that I'm sending out
Right,
during
they're
the
not
session.
something we can get directly, is there something they do, like a recap like they do of their,
Stance, no. NCSA, which is the administrative organization, I have an update that I will send out
that's when you send out?
this week
Okay.
that is more formal as far as what happened during the session and what changes took place.
I see what you're saying, be more of an advocate with this, our local senator, like Jared's our local senator.
Just a little more communication could be, it could be a lot of things, but since we don't have anything and that's an area of weakness, or needs improvement, whichever we wanna call it,
Can
I just don't know what that looks like.
Can I pose a slightly different question?
Sure.
I know that that was our lowest standard, but is that the highest impact thing we could work on as a board? Right?
Probably not.
In terms of importance to how our district operates, how our students perform, when I look at advocacy, absolutely important, but I could think of 3 or 4 things on this list that are more important than advocacy.
There were some pretty hot topics this year though, and I think that we do need to be, I was pretty involved with what was going on at the state level. And I also go to Board of Education, State Board of Education meetings. And there is a lot going on, and there's gonna be a lot that did not pass this year, but it's gonna come back next year. So I think everybody needs to get involved to know enough of what it is that's going on. Because there's a lot out there.
We could make the objective for next meeting broader and bring a goal of any of the topics that we need more growth in. I think that might, I don't know.
Yeah,
To me, that would intimidate me rather than figuring out one specific area and trying to formulate one goal to bring to talk about. But
And I agree with you, Brett. I mean, I think we have to probably focus on one goal. I'm just saying of all the things on here, there's a lot of things we should be working on pretty clearly from these assessments. And advocacy is important. I just wonder if that is our most important thing of everything on this list that we probably need to be working
I looked at it as, I was hoping a fairly less comprehensive goal to start with, just to see if the idea of everybody bringing a goal and picking one to actually work, adapt, and put into the strategic plan, and then you can always add more, whatever one of those other ones that make it more important. So I just thought advocacy, depending how it ends up looking, could be measurable and could be fairly simple to manage in one meeting. Some of the other ones might be a little deeper. Thoughts? And maybe it's one goal next meeting, and maybe 2 months later, we go back to the same evaluation tool, use the same information we already have, and come up with another one. And maybe after seeing the process work, next month, maybe we say, hey, we wanna try and get 2 goals in the next year, put it in the strategic plan. And maybe one's enough, I doubt. From the results, I'm guessing 2 or 3 would probably be something to focus on over the next year.
Now, obviously, within any board, you're all gonna have one that is more privy to, is more hooked on to.
Sure.
So when you have 6 people, I mean, we all may have something we think is more important than the other. It's just a matter of how do we as a group set which one's the most important to start with, the second most important. I think the only way you do that is to have a real conversation, how we all think. Instead of just like, well, I might think this one's more important than this one. I just think if we're gonna do that, and that's why I think Brett, by taking that advocacy to start with, is not a bad idea, because we're starting somewhere, that's something we've never done. So I agree, I think we all are kind of, all have different things we think is most important, but they're all important. So starting with advocacy, if that's what you feel is where we should start, I think that's fine.
I picked the bird in the hand because it was listed as our lowest score game, so just, that was the thought process. So, everybody good with bringing some sort of a goal starter based on advocacy that's hopefully measurable and something that can be utilized to hopefully bridge a little better gap?
Okay, and I'm sorry, tell me what the assignment is. You said bring a.
Come up with a goal or a goal starter. Advocacy can be a lot of different things. It's kind of vague.
Is this a collective goal, or each of us are taking on our own advocacy
Yep,
goals?
everybody's gonna make an advocacy goal, and then we are going to see, everybody can read theirs next meeting. And if somebody sounds really good, we build on that, and maybe it gets to where we put it into our strategic plan. It's kind of 5th, 6th grade, actually. It doesn't it, Tom? Well, it should be simple. It won't be simple? Will it be? I don't do this. I'm doing the best I can.
I get where you're at, Colin. I get it.
Doing great.
All right, perfect. Next meeting, bring one. If you have questions, I'm just gonna tell you the truth, and Katie's gonna give me mine from NASB, so. Just let me
Cheating.
No?
Unless one of us email her first.
Huh?
Unless one of us email her first, we'll get it.
Maybe she has 6.
They'd be well worded. Alright, where are we now? We are on to 4.8, discussion of strategic plan and board governance.
Okay, I want to make this short. It just kind of piggybacks off the self-assessment. Under the strategic plan, there's 2 different strategies for board governance. 4.1, and I have them listed there under rationale. Ensure meetings are effective, efficient, and orderly, focused on policy governance, professional conduct, and student learning. 4.2, sustain a professional collaborative working relationship with superintendent, support and advocate for growth of student learning. I think there's 2 pieces to this. So within the strategic plan, which is attached, it has the development of target dates, responsible individuals, progress update. I think there's things on my end that I can do to help with that, but I think there's things on the board side that you're going to have to determine what is going to fulfill those strategies that are listed with 4.1 and 4.2. There's some performance indicators that they have listed within there. Maybe they apply, maybe they don't. I would just encourage you to read through it and let me know if there's something that you're tied to tightly that you feel is very important for us to maintain going forward. Because I can put target dates on it, I can dole out responsibility, but I think this has to be a little bit of a joint effort, especially in strategy 4.2 between the board and the superintendent.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
And this one wasn't the one you were talking about, but on personnel effectiveness, we have a bullet point, is staff onboarding and offboarding, mentoring and communication. how do we, like with our high turnover this year,
Yep.
how are we, like, offboarding? Do we have a committee that meets with somebody leaving? Who talks to somebody who leaves?
I give everybody the opportunity. I have an exit interview that we do
Okay.
with anybody going out. I can share that tool with you, what I use, what information that I try to gather on a yearly basis, if that's something you're interested in.
I just was curious,
Yeah.
because we have so
Yeah,
many.
and I should clarify, any certificated staff.
Right.
Classified staff, I do not do that. Certificated staff, I do. I give every one of them the opportunity. I don't force it where if it's not something they want to talk about or address, that's absolutely up to them.
So we do surveys, right? Staff, employees, students. How come we've never, I'm just curious, we've never seen them, that results, to see what stuff is. I don't, have you seen this, I don't know, maybe I missed it, maybe you sent it.
Results of.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we've ever seen results, because we want to measure things. We gotta measure,
Right.
how you measure is you measure by results of what you get from a student evaluation, a staff evaluation, administrative review. I mean, it helps us, it would help me see
Right.
how things are, how people at school are doing, are the kids happy, are things going well?
Yeah.
Same with the staff. Do you get something like that?
Josh?
We share it with the board annually. I shared
The results
our last results with the board in one of my
with the staff, when the staff comes back,
staff,
what they talk
students,
about, how the admin's
and
doing, how.
families, all of those areas. I can send it back. I can
Has
send
anybody else seen it? You have
I
some?
remember seeing it, maybe not recently, I don't know, when did you last do
Yeah,
it?
one time a year,
Okay.
just one time per year.
So a survey goes out to your staff that they ask all the questions, we get
Those
it.
just went out,
So we'll get all those
several
results.
weeks
So
ago.
every year we get
You'll-
that?
You'll see that again, yeah, as soon as those.
Can you
are-
forward all of it in the past years?
Yeah.
I feel stupid at it, I've never seen it,
Yeah.
but
Just forgot.
I just forgot.
Thanks, Josh.
Yeah. The student surveys will go out in the next 2 weeks after state testing and things are finished, so we'll wait until that's done before we send that out.
And I don't know if this is the right place for this or not, but I know that there are districts that invite board members to come into the school for certain activities or certain events sometimes, just so the board members can get in with maybe some teachers and students they aren't otherwise familiar with. You know, they might be a parent and know certain classes and the teachers during those times, but for somebody that doesn't have anybody in the system like me or a grandparent or another person in the community, that was pretty helpful for me when I was on the board before. You know, there was like days like Dr. Seuss reading day, you'd go read to the kids. There was walk to school day where you'd greet the kids as they came into the grade school typically, or bike to school day, one of the two. Different events like that might create a better connection between the board and what's going on within the school too, from a non-parent perspective. So,
Okay.
We used to help out Dr. Seuss.
you did? Yeah.
Back in the day, there would be 6 of us, and it just kind of got, everybody's schedules got so busy.
Okay.
But that was, I had it 10 years.
I think
The
we
last
got
time
an
everybody was
invitation
there.
this year.
We did,
Really, I didn't see it. Okay.
yeah, we did.
Okay.
It's just for years, we always went because we had kids there, so we're there. Like you wouldn't have a child. Now that I don't have one in there,
I was there.
I represent
I was representing.
And we used to help
Did you have
serve Christmas snacks to the teachers. And it was all 3 buildings. Did that for a couple years. I think that those were all too.
So I know one of the things on our, when they were evaluating us or whatever, commenting, was communication. And that, I do feel like we don't communicate enough with staff or, we're just not. I know the first year I was on the board, I did go to a PTO meeting and music boosters just to try to, so people could see who I was, but I haven't done that for a long time.
Well, even an appreciation event,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's a little shocking that we do nothing as a board.
That is something that we also, we would do teacher
We did
appreciation
that
day
3 years
and
ago,
the
maybe.
board members would all go to
Never
a
said
different
something.
school and hand
I
them
think
out.
we did it once.
You know,
Isn't
so
there-
it was.
maybe, yeah, it couldn't, couldn't be 4 years. Maybe right, Renee?
Like 8 years, or 6 years, sorry.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I've never been a part of a teacher or staff appreciation.
The last time I remember it was in the PLC.
Yes, it was, that's exactly when it was, it's been a few years.
PLC, and I think it's not home ec, consumer science?
Family consumer
Family
science.
consumer science, I think those classes made something in the end, before they went home.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the day before Christmas, or was that a Friday before Christmas, I can't remember. It was around Christmas time.
It was Christmas time in the PLC, I do remember that.
But that's been a while.
It's been a long time, you're right, Renee. God, time flies.
I feel like Mo was still
I
there.
just feel like we're late here now.
That's a long time.
You know, and then having the teachers come in and talk about what they did with the grant money is, I think, really important for us. And you could have the principals, like, nominate a specific teacher, program, or class to do that on a regular basis and just spotlight something going on in the school too. So I don't, you know, we do that in kind of a less systematic way.
Right, it's something we've talked about making more systematic. We did it early on when I was here, and then we're asked to, and it may have been around COVID, but asked to really streamline meetings.
Okay.
And, which is why the administrative reports are all written now, available for question as opposed to oral presentation. Same thing with kids and teachers, if it's something the board wants, it's absolutely something to do.
Doesn't have to be every meeting, but I think we did it quarterly and you know, if something really big just happened.
Sure.
Now that, you know, I'm adding things to the meetings now that I'm not gonna be here anymore, but.
Thanks, Bob.
Still got a
Get
few-
back to them 3-hour meetings.
still got a few more spots.
I think the administrator piece was removed about the time we started talking about building project and all the extra time we had at meetings anyway to try and eliminate 20 to 30 minutes from a meeting when we were talking about, you know, what we've been talking about now for 3 years, it seems like, maybe longer, so. But that can always be something reintroduced when the building project's finally done too.
The other thing is we don't need them to come and tell us about a report that we can read.
Yeah.
I mean, it's redundant.
Yeah, takes them out of their home at night.
Yeah.
Typically spending plenty of time in the school. They can
Exactly.
spend one evening
If
at
we have a
home
question
family.
for them, we can just email them.
That's right.
Or call them. Agreed.
Other questions? Strategic plan 4.1, 4.2 program.
I'm not sure we accomplished what you asked us to.
I don't think we did either.
No, there wasn't anything to accomplish. What I want you guys to consider going forward is we want measurable goals and objectives with timelines set. How do we meet the strategic plan, goals and timelines? What does that look like from a board perspective? I can give you my input, but with one of those strategies specifically being our working relationship, I think it is important that we talk this through and make sure we understand how this looks going forward.
So is that done next meeting? Is that done outside of the meeting? Like, how do we accomplish that?
Yeah.
Because I think one of the things we need
Fair.
to know is, what do you need from us as a board?
What I will do is I will take these strategies and I will email you to start with and just say, here's what I see these things being, here's exactly what I need from you, and how we fill in those gaps.
Right.
Is that fair? Okay.
We could certainly do a workshop.
Well, that's honestly, if you want to be
Well, that's the
effective,
first-
that's what
that's
you
where you-
do.
That's what I was smiling, but that's what I was
That's
thinking
what you do.
probably needed to happen. So we can try maybe working through it this way, if not, then we probably, because there's no reason for Brandon to do all the work if it never gets measured, there's not a process for measuring. if He's accomplishing those goals that we asked him to get done, so. Other questions? Here we go. 4.9.
It looks like a gun, but it's like, it's tear gas and pepper spray. It puts people like out of commission for 20 minutes. You can't kill anybody with it.
I don't know, I mean, like, law enforcement can have a lot of different things in the building. I really, at that point, when you start talking about a weapon.
It's not a weapon. I don't know if it's legal for a school to have it, but gosh, I'd want
It's
to have.
something we'd have to look into,
I
but
would
my
like-
concern would be if it forces a projectile that potentially injures somebody, somebody should probably be trained on how to use it and
Right.
have something to go with it.
Right,
I don't know if can you spell it for me?
BURNA.
Okay.
It's on Fox News, you see all the time.
They're not that expensive.
I'll find out.
Can I just ask like a clarifying question to the board, is that appropriate?
Please.
I think what I'm hearing, and maybe I'm misunderstanding, and I will say, I think as the elementary, we've maybe been a little further removed from the secure vestibule conversation because most of the construction's been up here, which is fine. I think what I'm hearing is like questions about action steps, like maybe it feels like we're on a treadmill, but you're not getting anywhere. And what I'm wondering is, like, if I can help with this in any way, and I don't know if I can, what is the goal? So, and I think a question to that is the goal, should the goal be developed by the administration or should the goal be developed by the school board? And I think either way is probably fine and appropriate, but maybe that's why we're not really getting anywhere. But I felt like I feel like if we had a goal, we would get somewhere. So I'm just asking, like, what is our goal? So that next month we feel like this is productive and Bernie doesn't go to a whole bunch of work and then we feel like we have information but we're still not getting anywhere. Do you know what I mean? Like, what can I help with? What questions are we asking? It's just food for thought.
No, it's a great question, and you have to have clarity before you can provide the information, I think that would be useful for us. So I can only speak for myself, obviously, but in my mind, the goal is to communicate to us what you would like to see us invest in to improve the security and safety of our buildings and our kids within them, right? And so the conversation has centered around a secure vestibule for 2 years plus. Maybe that's not what you guys actually feel like you would like to have. Maybe that's not your biggest concern. Maybe that would be a nice to have if money were no object. But as an alternative, if we can't get this, I'd really like to have this and this and this. And I know one of those examples you had given was better cameras, right? And that was very early on in the planning process. So if it's some of those things, it doesn't just have, or it doesn't just have to be a security officer, right? There's competing data on all of those things, some that will say it's great, some will say it's not worth the money. Anecdotal information is the same. So you guys are here every day. At the end of the day, each of you are responsible for the buildings that you supervise. And for me, I don't want to tell you what you should do. I think we need your feedback on what you see day in and day out, what tools you feel like you don't have in the event of some emergency or some sort of an event where you guys are it. We're not going to be here. So what do you need?
I wonder, is you guys, administrator team meets weekly? Yep. Is that something that, as you can just add to the agenda item, hey, here's what we think, maybe as a district, here's what Mr. Kraftles thinks that the elementary is the best step, or 2 or 3, Mr. Kaminsky,
We'll put together.
Greater
than that.
Yeah, something
That's
like
easy-
that, and we
easy
come
to do.
together and say, this is what the thoughts were from the building administrators.
And I thought that the safety committee was kind of a mechanism to help make a recommendation to the board too, but is that in their job description for their committee, or?
I think it can be. All the conversation up to this point, and maybe this is where I dropped the ball, all the conversation up to this point has revolved around secure vestibule, and then the safety committee had brought up the SRO piece. I guess maybe those areas have been too focused on instead of, okay, what's the most logical solution for what we have and where we're going?
Yeah, my thought is that maybe the administration, especially the people in charge of the buildings, would work with the safety committee, and then you could synthesize that, and then it'd be presented to us with some better recommendations about where we think our weaknesses are, where we think we can make the greatest improvements on safety, and then we give direction as to what we would want to see happen based on that information, or if we have further questions or clarification.
I guess, and Dr., I asked him a question, is Cohen Kugel on? And he said, yeah, I mean, Cohen needs to be actively involved because he's in every part of the school more than anybody. He knows where maybe some weaknesses of the building are, that maybe need some cameras, whatever. I think we're on the right path. This is the most communication we've had about it.
I think a challenging part, just to speak from that committee standpoint, is if the committee meeting in isolation and talking through pieces, the important people are not in the room at that time, having someone from the board, and we would welcome that for, maybe not all of whatever it is that we're talking about, but very specifically, things that would involve decision-making at this level would be, I just feel it would be more efficient, from a procedural standpoint, instead of, here's the recommendation from the committee, and then now we have more questions, and then now we're waiting for next month again, and so I think maybe there's a way that we could do both of those things. We'll meet again this summer. That committee will meet again this summer, soon after school is out.
And I volunteer, I mean, I'd be willing to do that, although I'm a short timer now, but if it helped to have me attend that meeting and stuff, and work with them, and then come back and be able to be kind of a liaison for that purpose, I'd be willing to do that, so.
I think one other question I'd have is what the purpose of that committee is. Is that a strategic committee, or is that an operational, where you guys operationalize the direction you've been given and figure out how that becomes processes and procedures within the school? Is that more what that committee is, or does it do both?
I feel like it does both.
Okay.
So through the emergency operations plan, that's a state-required document that deals with everything from large-scale transportation in the event of, shutting down a school building. We have a gas leak at one building, and when that team operationalizes, right, we know these people are contacting bus drivers, this person is contacting the fairgrounds, this is, all of those things. This is the person who sends messages to families and explains, up to things like weather, severe weather. That committee is, one of the ideas was sending out something monthly, so in March we sent out severe weather awareness information. In April, there'll be cybersecurity information coming out for families just on how to, kind of keep students safe. Next year in August and January, there'll be information will come out about procedures for entering the school building for visitors, so some kind of timeliness in terms of that. All of those things function within that emergency operation plan. So I think there's a little bit of both, right? Like being strategic in terms of, there's representation of counselors and teachers and administration and maintenance, and then Saunders County Emergency Management and fire chief and police chief, so all of those pieces are there. So I think we can be kind of strategic in terms of also community needs, but then, and be pretty granular in terms of what we need at each building.
Okay. Yeah, and what you described in my mind is very operational. I didn't hear any strategy in there. Do you guys meet and talk about, okay, here is where we need to go in the future. Here are the things that we're missing.
Yep. So one of the key elements on the list right now is creating some tabletop exercises, scenario type things to kind of, run through a procedure before it happens. So we, actually this summer we'll be doing that with Grant. He's gonna lead us through a tabletop exercise for an evacuation situation that would be at school, and we'll run through that. So part of that is also built in. We've come up with 4, I think, internally that will you know, kind of help the team continue to move forward. But those things are part of it as well, yeah.
I think the thing is that you try to make sure that you have all those things in place with the facilities and the resources that you have. If you talk about what would we do if we had this new thing or that new thing, I don't know if that always happens in that, but I think it's because we still have all these other things to make sure that we have in place. But I don't think anybody is scared to put that stuff together and make a recommendation. I don't think that as an admin team, or any of us, I think we all understand the importance of the things that we want or we need, but then the challenge gets to be the want, need type of stuff and resources and all that. I think in a perfect world, maybe you do all of those things. In a realistic world, you try to do the things to make sure your kids are as safe as they possibly can be.
And just to clarify, are all of the principals on the safety?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, yeah, that does sound like that's the right team to take the lead and maybe run into your point, in a perfect world, we would do 13 things. In the real world, if you had to pick 4 of those 13, you know, being able to prioritize.
I think you're always looking to see is what you're doing worth the money that you're doing, and there's no, what's tough with this is there's nothing, no life or nobody getting hurt is, there's no price on that, so that's the challenge with how you go. This is unique in that part of that. I think that, you know, you never want to go through and say this is a bad idea. You're just trying to find the best way to make sure your kids are protected.
And maybe, Vernon, part of that too is setting that priority list irrespective of cost, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe letting us worry about the cost side. You guys just identify from a pure safety and security perspective. These would be our top 5.
I think the challenge as you go through with that though, is, you know, and we had just did an exercise this morning when we met as an admin team, and I talked about safety being the most important, but everything is a part of, you've got these resources and you've got to decide, you know, what's the best use of those resources. And while that's important, you gotta spend money on these things down here to make things go and make the train go down the track as well. So figuring out what's the best use of the resources you have up there. I think that's the hardest thing.
And maybe it becomes a 3 or 5 year plan. It's not something that we have to be able to necessarily, no different than we do all of our capital planning needs, right? This, in my mind, would be at the pretty high on the list in terms of places to invest dollars.
And I do think we've done in the place, well, if you look at like Mr. LaValle, we've talked about how we've tried to expand cameras and try to improve that system as we went along, while our intercom and some of that didn't go as well as we want. There was still a plan in place to get it there. It just didn't happen exactly like we wanted, and then you're trying to figure out how it might work. So I do think there's a plan to improve on those things. It's just, you know, it's trying to get to where you need to be. Like Mr. Kreifels talked about, cameras there too. It's always tough to keep up. It's tough to ever be ahead on technology. You're always just trying to, you know, keep your head above water with some of those things.
Other questions?
You want to be invited?
Yeah, they're okay with it.
Anybody else wanna get invited? Got room for 2 more. The safety.
Yeah, Josh, I'll go that too.
No, I don't have the time. I too should be, I mean, I would think, unless somebody's passionate about it.
Brian, thank you.
Yeah.
And we always have to also think, what if what we've done so far is 80% of it? I don't know. I don't know what other schools do. I mean, how many schools actually have those? If, you know, if somebody happened to have an uncle Bezos and he drops, you know, 500 million on us, we could have a SWAT team at every school building, which would probably be the best attack plan to keep everybody safe. But, yeah, I think it's multiple facets of what needs to happen. So, but nonetheless, other question for Brandon? Okay. Meat and potatoes, number 5. 5.1, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on setting the last day of the school year for students and staff. Brandon.
So each year when we construct a calendar, we put extra days in there for snow, emergency, any of that type of stuff. That way families can plan when the school year is gonna end, barring some catastrophe. If we don't use those days, we're able to get out earlier, nobody's worse for the wear. My recommendation this year is to have students dismissed on Friday, May 15th, all staff dismissed Tuesday, May 19th. That would fulfill contractual obligations for staff, that fulfills our hour obligation for the state for all of our students. The calendar, the way it's set up, shows that the students go one less day than the staff at the end of the year. When we talked administratively, it's really hard to justify bringing kids back for a half day on a Monday, just to send them home for the summer. So we would cut off Friday. Monday would be an in-service day for staff. Tuesday is a half day for staff, and then we have a social afterwards.
I'll make a motion to approve the calendar, making the May 15th the last day of school for students and staff.
Second.
Discussion. Alyssa?
Renee,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Di,
Yes.
Alex.
Yes.
5.2, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on approving a 5-year copier lease with Access Systems.
Okay, so our lease is up this year with All Copy. The way it worked last time was, I think it started in August, which puts a real crimp on the start of the school year for teachers trying to learn systems, making sure everything's installed. If it's not working correctly, now we're in a bind. What I would like to do with this is I would like to start it over the summer in either June or July, make sure all the bugs are worked out before anybody's back in the building. I had told you we had 5 responses. We had 4, a 5th neglected to respond, Bishop Business. So what you see on here is Access Systems, EECS, Capital Business, and All Copy. Okay, as I go down the list, Access Systems, option 1, that would be like for like. So the exact machines we have, replaced with new machines of a common ilk. That is the lease monthly cost. And then BW is black and white print. Color is obviously color print. And in order to get it on one page, it's small. You can zoom in with 2 fingers if you want to zoom in. Access Systems option 2, which is the recommendation. That is replacing machines with higher speed devices where necessary. It also pays off the remaining buyout for the current contract and the shipping costs and covers property tax. EECS option 1 is like for like, so you could compare it to option 1 at Access Systems, prints and such. EECS option 2 would be to upgrade machines where they needed to be upgraded, especially at the elementary. It's unclear on the property tax payment whether they would do that or not. Capital Business provided one solution, that is their final solution, which would be an upgrade. Meg has written there, it is like a like for like. It's not exactly the same. There are a couple machines that are different. All Copy, their like for like is listed there. Then their upgrade with Konica Minolta machines. The difference between All Copy and Access is replacing 11 machines. All Copy is replacing 9 machines and then putting a service contract on 2 other used machines. So given everything that we got back, Meg did a lot of work on this. She and I sat down and looked at it. The recommendation would be for the Access Systems, and I needed to pull this back up. Just so you have a number, our current lease is $1,716 a month. The black and white print is 3,500s, 35 10,000s, 0.35 of a penny. And then the colored prints are 4.5 cents currently. So the costs on the prints go down and the current lease per month goes down. A couple $100 a month over 60 months.
And you're suggesting access system option
Option
2
two.
because of the
Upgrade speed.
upgrades?
Yeah.
And is that the kind of equipment we currently have, are you sure?
No, we currently carry Comic and Adulta.
Seems like somebody put decent, Miss Renesky put some work into that, so.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the 5-year copier with the lease with access systems option 2.
There's a second.
Second that.
Further discussion? Alyssa?
Mike,
Yes.
Di,
Yes.
Alex.
Yes.
Renee.
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Bob.
Yes.
Meg?
Megan.
Yeah, delegate got all the work.
I will.
That was good info. 5.3, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on curriculum purchases for the 26-27 school year.
This was in Josh's report, it's also on the agenda. There's 2 items, there's physical science and Dibbles. Physical science needs it, Dibbles, I'm gonna let Josh talk about both. Go ahead, Josh.
Sounds good. So high school general science, the current structure right now is for primarily 9th grade, but our general science class is physical science, and then more earth space. So we have held out as long as possible finding a text replacement for that. The previous contract was, I think, 2016, so those texts at a minimum are 10 years old right now. And then when it was first onboarded, it was 2008. So we've been kind of stuck with the same book for a while. The reason for waiting so long, and I think like many things, if you wait long enough, things come back around. So for a while, the majority of the textbook and vendor companies were promoting more integrated approaches, so a little bit of life science, a little bit of earth, space, and physical, a little bit of chemistry in one text. This meets our current needs and where we're at. Mr. Tom Jack has reviewed it from a chemistry standpoint and how the students would be prepared moving forward. And Mr. Fox has looked at it also, being the person who primarily teaches the class. So a 3-year adoption on that would be $8,026.08, and I included kind of the contents of the coursework there. So teachers are very much willing and wanting to move forward with that purchase. So I don't know if we need to do these one at a time.
No,
We're
I've
just
got it on there as both.
It's a bundle.
Mhm.
And then, so M-Class Dibbles, 8th edition. So if you have been paying attention to the state, some of the initiatives coming out of the state Department of Education, in past years, there were up to, so for kindergarten through 2nd grade, to meet the Early Reading Improvement Act, school districts had to adopt a reading screener. Initially, this list was about 8 different screeners long, and districts could select any of those approved vendors to meet the requirement. Through the Burroughs Center, which is a research institution on UNL's campus, and then some outside work, they had started narrowing this list. The commissioner's message initially was, we're going to get it down to 2 or 3, and then he would tell us, but I really want 1. I don't know if anyone ever actually believed that there would be 1 until February 2026, when at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, a letter came out from the department that said there will now be 1. So where we were at is kind of anticipating, not really knowing where this was going as this started. We've been on an annual year-to-year contract with our current screener, not wanting to get caught in the weeds with something if state changed. So the state said M-Class Dibbles 8th edition. There was a hold harmless for next year if we wanted to stay with what we had. my proposal to the staff, not wanting to add another change, was let's just continue what we're doing. We will, take care of this when it's required, and we'll go from there. The staff said, please just rip the Band-Aid and let's go. So I mean, contrary to what I thought was, where they might want to head, they very much were like, let's just move forward. So the state proposal was for 5 years. Our adoption year or cycle would be for 5 years. It's at a cost not to exceed $23,000. And I think yesterday I got the final quote was $22,000, less than $22,100 is what it actually ended up being. So that includes some training and the tools that we need to meet not only the state requirement, but teachers' initial feedback is like this probably will make things easier and be more useful than the tool that we were using historically. So that's where we're at on that one. And any questions on those two? Okay, then K2 foundational reading, reading curriculum team has been meeting this year, and I just included this information in there. So we've had several, so as part of the legislative piece, all kindergarten through third grade, right? All pre-K through third grade teachers have to have some sort of training to meet the state requirement. The deadline for that is 2028. It's part of the strategic plan for the state. And we agree, we've been kind of moving towards that the last few years anyway. As a part of that process, we also are participating in kind of some, I don't know if it's, we have been able to participate in what's called a CLSD grant. So it's through ESU2, and the CLSD is specifically literacy focused grant. So as a result of that, reviewing our current instructional foundational reading materials, trying to be more aligned with science of reading and I guess just foundational literacy in general. And staff having gone through some of the training and continuing to review, so I had collected some information I can certainly share with you with their feedback on all of the different elements of the components we're using. And through conversation, the staff wholeheartedly would like to move forward with this IMSI OG Plus is what it's called, the Institute for Multisensory Education, or Orton Gillingham Plus. It is very much aligned with not only the department's goals, but sound research and evidence-based practice when it comes to providing solid early reading instruction. This is a part of our reading curriculum adoption that we're going through right now as well, and I will bring something to the board next year for 27-28 implementation as well. So we're kind of in the research phases with that. Throughout the process of collecting that information, staff were kind of asking, do we have to wait until 27-28 to onboard? So that essentially accelerated the process. Part of the comprehensive literacy grant is the funding for the training and the materials will come at zero cost to the district. So by essentially accelerating that timeline and coordinating the work with ESU2, ESU2 will provide the training, they will provide the materials, they will provide a stipend for staff to have the training, and they will provide food. So they'll take care of all of those things. There likely will be some material costs or resource, which I would consider in the scope of things pretty negligible annually after that, but the large chunk of the funding, probably around 20, well, if I factored in stipends, we'd be looking at over $30,000 in total will be handled by the ESU and through this grant. So that is the piece, those pieces to move forward. Any questions? Ben has been a part of the process as well, so.
Yeah, I would just add, as far as these decisions that Josh is talking about, we're in a really unique and really great spot in that our staff unanimously agreed that they all want to do this and they want to do it now. They know enough of the programming to know that it's good and they're anxious to use it. So That sets us up for a lot of success in the future. Schools that use this program currently, typically have right around 85% of kids meeting benchmark without intervention, which is outstanding, so we're excited to get started with it.
Other questions?
You didn't have that part of it, the last part, the zero cost part, as language in the recommended motion. Does it need to be
No.
approved by the board?
It is not. Unless the ESU needs it for
No.
paperwork.
No.
Okay.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Take it quick.
Mike,
Fair enough. Further discussion? Alyssa?
Di,
Yes.
Alex.
Yes.
Renee.
Yes.
Brett.
Yep.
Bob.
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
5.4, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on the proposal for floor reconditioning in the new addition by MCL. Brandon.
We've had this in front for a while. I don't have any new information. I don't have anything to add to it. I just bring it back to the board.
Seems like this is part of the discussion that we need to
On the
have
27th.
related to close out
Closing out.
settlement negotiations. I do think it would be worthwhile to have that discussion here before the meeting next week. But I think that that is more appropriate for a closed session. And I need to read the language. Do you have the language?
We're gonna do that at the end.
Well, can I make a recommendation?
Please?
Can we table this, go down to
Yes.
personnel, so it stays on camera, because once the camera goes off, when we're done, when we would come back out, I mean, unless you guys plan on taking action on something, you could say going in closed, we won't come out and take any action.
But I think
That would
that's-
probably be the best way to do that.
That's 5.4 and 5.5.
Okay.
I think that's all one discussion to try
Correct.
to,
So we table. Table.
great.
Yep.
We will skip now down to 5.6. Scrolls up, maybe. Discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on personnel resignations and or hirings.
Okay, we've got 3 in front of you. I'm gonna talk about Mickey here just for a minute, and then I'll let Ben and Vernon address their recommendations. Went through the process, I shared the process with you. Mickey Scharf has experience in the school as a teacher, as an administrator. She's been in NDE, in special education. She has a wealth of experience. I'm also excited to get her on board because I think she will not only challenge staff, but she'll challenge the administrative team to, in short, just be better. She's really good at what she does. She is high energy. I'm excited to get her on the administrative team. I think she makes a ton of sense. Banner or Vernon?
We offered our business job to Levi Loof. He previously taught at York High School in the business department, had done a lot of different technology things there. He's done some streaming things, but adds a lot of different things to our business department. We were super excited to have him. I think we had some good applicants, and we just came up with him as our recommendation.
In the elementary, I'm recommending that we hire Julia Morris for our K-4 art position. Stacy Simonson was selected to be our instructional facilitator going forward. We did interview internal and external candidates. Josh and Brandon helped with those interviews. And then we were left with an art position to fill. So Julia is coming to us. She'll be a first-year teacher. Is coming to us from Kansas. She wants to move to the area because she has family in both Lincoln and Omaha. I was glad to have Stacy Simonson help with the hire because she knew that this school she's coming from, that Miss Morris is coming from, is known for its art education program, and was pretty excited about it, and her interview was just stellar. We're just so excited, so please approve her.
Can you make a motion to all three?
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve all three applicants. Glasses on. Sharp. Morris. Loof.
Second.
Discussion. Alyssa?
Alex,
Yes.
Renee,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Ty.
Yes.
I'm not sure what's going on. I can't see anything. Just scroll. Yeah.
You're back to 5.4. If you want to go to closed session.
Oh, we're down there.
Yeah.
I don't know why it won't scroll down.
I'll work on it.
I'm not on. Just a link to me. Alright. Anywho, I printed it off so I can read it. Ready to go. Let me make sure I'm reading the right one. Came from Liga. Oh, it's cool. Thanks. The next item on the agenda is to conduct a strategy session and take potential action on construction project closeout issues, including but not necessarily limited to various claims, disputes, potential litigation, negotiations, and to provide negotiating guidance to the superintendent and district legal counsel concerning the same. In my opinion, the discussion of these matters in closed session is clearly necessary to protect the public interest, to protect the attorney-client privilege, and is authorized by Nebraska statute. Is there a motion to enter closed session to conduct a strategy session on construction project closeout issues, including but not necessarily limited to various claims, disputes, potential litigation, negotiations, and to provide negotiating guidance to the superintendent and district legal counsel concerning the same, because closed session is clearly necessary to protect the public interest, to protect the attorney-client privilege, and is authorized by Nebraska statute. Second?
Second.
Discussion? Alyssa?
Brett,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Ty.
Yes.
Alex.
Yes.
Renee.
Yes.
It is 7:28. And at this time, we'll go to closed session.
You need two. There's, that one was this last one,
Yep.
and then the rest of them.
Yes, yeah.
It was off the whole time anyway. I never got in.